So I talked not so long ago about my video games and addictions video. But I'm going to follow up, and I've been wanting to for a while, but I kind of held off. Some of it was kind of like, well, maybe like with COVID, I want to, track what's going on. And sure, I pollute my gaming videos with this shit all the time, unfortunately. But I think it deserved its own discussion, which maybe will temper my tendency to doing it on the gaming videos. But the last couple days, some things have become more clear to me that change the world a little bit in terms of my addiction, but also my view of it and whatnot. So, at other times in my life, I've become addicted to video games, and for the past decade or more, while I've been working kind of regularly and everything, I couldn't really afford to throw myself into that kind of addiction. Now, but it's happened before. Back when I was in Eugene the last time, I definitely just, pretty much gave up everything to play Mountain Blade mainly, but also probably some EU type stuff. I didn't have my board games. I was in a shitty situation, and as usual, going out and doing things is like such a not necessarily, is such a not positive thing in general in my life. Which is to say, while I may enjoy going for walks and going places and doing stuff to some extent, there's also a fairly high percentage of times when I come home and I'm like, great, now I'm chafed, I wasted a day, I'm tired, and I was pretty miserable for the most part, and I feel like, I've lost time, I've lost something vital to me. Now somehow, zoning out and playing video games doesn't always make me feel that same way, that I've wasted a lot of time. And certainly reading or playing my board games doesn't make me feel that at all. Although sometimes I feel some anxiety about the things that I'm putting off while I'm reading or playing my board games. The video games is just a different nature as to how I view them, and I view myself more negatively through them. But the addictive nature, what I'm noticing right now, well, first of all, I don't know how long ago it was, probably close to a decade. I was out of work, unemployed for, I don't know, most of a year. Between my contracting job and when a new manager at Wells contacted me about a permanent position because people wanted me back. And I did the job search thing and the unemployment insurance and all that, but it had started feeling hopeless. Beyond that, I didn't really sink into a video game addiction. I was doing what I've been doing for the past, before I got into this Shadow Raids thing. I'd play some video games, but mainly I'd be listening to my YouTube news stuff, and I'd play my board games, and I'd go out and I'd sit by the pool. Now that's the big thing that I'm missing here, is there I could go out and get 15, 20 minutes of exercise and sit and dry off and, read for a while. And it all felt better, in certain ways than anything that I could do at home, inside the house or here in my yard or whatever. None of that feels the same as the sort of relaxing by the pool type thing. Now, I don't relax by the pool for a long time no matter what. Like, I can't go an hour, sitting in that position. And if I do, I swim a couple of times, but then I have to go home. So it wasn't like it was a huge time sink, but what it did was provided me with some sort of framework of something that I could do that was kind of enjoyable, that was kind of good for me, and that fit in with my work schedule and wasn't just watching videos or whatever. So I think somehow the addiction side got defeated to a large extent by the pool, by the kind of weather that it was in Phoenix, whatever. Although, when it came around to periods where there were all the old walruses and whales, and boy, would they slime up the hot tub, because they were just slathered in sunscreen. And instead of showering to get that shit off, they would get into the hot tub and it would just be brown. It was fucking gross. And I'm sure they were putting the same shit into the pool. But anyway, in prior times in my life, I've sunk into these kind of addictive behavior, which is kind of an interesting thing. Like I said, I remember doing it in Eugene before, but it wasn't the same kind. So, with Mountain Blade, I had the game on my computer. It wasn't like, oh, you must play it at this time of day or whatever, and you must get in a certain amount of play each day, and then there's events that make things bigger and everything. Everything in Shadow Raids is just designed for the addict, right? And to not let them go. Now, again, though, I've been playing other games that are like this, and they didn't take hold. And I've been playing them since my wife died, since I left work. I don't know about that. But usually they fill a couple of days where I'm kind of like really into exploring them, and then they just become this pattern where I'm habitually getting on and playing, for maybe a half hour, an hour a day, because that's all they sustain for free. Otherwise, you have to pay money. And with this one, though, it grabs a lot more, and then there was also the whole idea of getting another account. But I don't know. One of the things that I'm noticing, though, and that really drove me to finally make this video, was the correlation of the addiction and the pain. So to some extent, my other experiences with the addiction were always more just this general existential misery, whatever, at best. Something that I have all the time, right? It's just at any particular point, and this is I can't get shit done, I can't do the things I need to right now. My toilet's fucked up, I probably need a new, I don't know what the thing is, it's the water regulator thing. I probably need a new one of them, but I'm not absolutely positive because it's kind of weird. I turn off the water and I turn it back on and then it works once. And I'm like, well, that may be the water pressure because the pipe that's drawing air into the plumbing is not cleaned, and I'm supposed to have somebody clean the roof, and they're supposed to look at that, and I don't want to buy a regulator or whatever the fuck the thing is if it's going to get fixed by that, but then the guy may never show up, but then again the regulator is probably not the solution if that's the case, and whatever. So that's the kind of complexity that, like, I can deal with the fact that I have no good solution to this that's short term. So all I have is this sort of long term hope that the guy comes to do the roof and cleans that thing, um, as we've discussed. But I don't trust people to do things because it's a guy from the bar and this, that, and the other. And it's not like dealing with a normal business, but I can't deal with normal businesses as easily. Anyway, um, that kind of thing doesn't cause me the same level of angst. That's just sort of the, okay, I'll put this off to the side. Um, but other stuff has. The sink really did. Uh, there's a ton of other stuff that needs to get done around the house that I just don't bother taking care of. There's the stuff with my wife's inheritance that I really need to do. I was supposed to do it last week. I was supposed to do it many times, but I told myself I will do this week. I didn't do it. Now there's this week, and I got a lot of job shit to accomplish this week, but we'll see. But yeah, on top of all of that, there is just this humongous pain that accompanies almost every action I take, almost every moment where I'm free to think. And it fills it up to a certain point. And then eventually, after I get my dose of pain, I think about other things, just like I always would. I think about my past and how I got to where I am and all kind of stuff like that. Run debates through my head and whatnot about all kinds of different things. Philosophical, computer-related, organizational, just games, all kinds of things just run through my head, and I get into these monologues with myself. They're not really monologues because I'm holding a dialectic, But yeah, these things just happen, and I feel like I'm a lot more sensible when I'm talking to myself in that sense than I am when I'm talking on camera, which is why I feel like I should make notes. But I tried doing that, and it just doesn't feel right. I don't feel like I'm talking with people, but I am more cogent. But anyhow, the addiction puts that pain aside almost completely. When I'm downstairs on my computer playing my account with the video running, whatever YouTube I'm listening to or whatever, running in the background, and I'm making these decisions in the game, many of which are just little optimization problems and resource allocation and stuff like that. And some of them are just watching the game play itself, because I've gotten to where I don't actually play it much. I just let it play itself, which seems to be what I like to have in games, where I just intervene every now and then. But that absorbs me so fully that I have no time for pain. Now, when I'm playing up here on my wife's computer, there are a number of things that will remind me that this is hers, and that hurts, Normally, whatever I do in life is causing that pain, though. I go to wash dishes, and I remember that she would do that most of the time. I try to clean the counter, and I remember. These are things that I wouldn't do anyhow, right? But now I actually kind of do them more because of her, but there's this intense pain that comes, an emotional pain, and there's things that have nothing to do, like that I've never done with her or anything, they would trigger oh, I wonder how she would react to this and whatever. And maybe I know that I suffered this with my first wife. I know that I suffered greatly after every really every breakup and everything like it. I don't think to the same extent. I surely didn't feel the same kind of guilt. Um, Usually, the others, there would be kind of an anger, like, why did you abandon this? You know, we could have fought and made, because to me, a connection with somebody is such a fucking rare thing that, and from what, certainly from what my first wife said, but I feel like everybody, that the connection that I had with these people was was better than anything they had had before, to such an extent that it would be worth putting every effort to maintaining. And honestly, with my first girlfriend, I feel like we kind of did, but there were too many barriers in the way and whatnot. The only place where I really didn't feel that was with my psycho ex, and I mean, from the moment that we were officially together only one day, but but from sort of the moment that that possibility came to mind, that she was willing to be, boyfriend girlfriend with me, there was just this incredible resistance on my part. And all throughout, I was like, no, this is not right. This is not good. This is bad. I can't cope with this. And, I broke it in a couple of ways during that. And really, every fiber of my being seemed to rebel against the idea, because there was just so much wrong there. I think I've mellowed and become a little bit more accepting, because I feel like there were things that were not at that level, with my past wife, I just feel like there were things that I was like, how can I accept this? But there wasn't, I don't know, there was never the sense of complete wrongness there. Anyway, the pain feels sharper than I think it ever was before. And maybe the finality of death, but again, my psycho ex died too, so, and I had at least one other suicide of somebody I cared about in that sort of way as well. So, but there wasn't the strong connection in the same way. But yeah, here it's not so much the anger as I don't know, almost like I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some sort of feeling of, look, why couldn't you have brought this, whatever was driving you this way, to me? But I kind of know the answers to that. I know that things weren't the same as with my previous relationships. There wasn't the same passion. There wasn't the same... There was always sort of a wall, and a wall that, was kind of like that between family members. And obviously, trusting, she couldn't trust me with, yeah, I'm going to kill myself, that would have, I wouldn't trust me with that, unless I'm hoping that somebody intervenes and tries to stop me. But yeah, so there's sort of this understanding almost completely of the position she had to be in, although I don't entirely understand what could have made it, what could have pushed it to the point where, yeah, I can actually do this, But I feel that's more, the same kind of thing that I have where any decisive people, where I try to understand what any decisive people cope with. And I've got to swap batteries. It's more, just my flaw, not being able to understand how other people make decisions because I'm incapable of it. So it's so hard to tell. Like it's not like I feel. It's not like I feel the guilt all the time, but the pain is always, it comes up so many times and is so fucking sharp. Some of it may be that here I am in the same house, in the same position. The closest I can come to with this, because the same kind of time period, really, in terms of time we were together, is with my first wife. It really was. There were 2 weeks where I was in the house, the same house, but there were feelings that maybe something could be reversed, whatever. Yet, and there I was just insane, and just nothing made sense, and it was like, the stunning period right at the beginning here. But now I'm living on. I'm in the same location. I've got the same stuff. I've got her things. Everything is there to remind me. But I also have things that are not related to her. I go for a walk. I find a new street or something. But because of the context of being in the same place, it brings it more into focus. But anyway, this is all kind of outside, because now I'm delving too much into the pain, and what I really wanted to look at was the pain and the addiction combination. The addiction takes away the pain, right? I mean, I feel like I'm fucking dosing up with heroin or something, and I come out of it and I'm stumbling around. I'm barely functional. Physically, it's having effects on me. Where my body is shaking and whatnot from it. Although I've been pulling out a little bit just the last day, so maybe there's some hope. But it's just like especially this because of this event thing, I've been just submerging myself completely in it and giving myself completely over to it. And then when I come out of it, it's not necessarily that like, oh, I need to go back to it, but it's hard to pull away. And then when I do, there's definite effects. I'm not able to exist in the same way. That it's like I'm not grounded in reality. Now, I had that happen when I was in Eugene before. And I kind of see that as sort of magical, actually. I had that happen, though, not so much just with the addiction, but with other things where the whole of reality was beginning to bend. And that's something I really want to happen. So, in some ways, maybe the addiction is a way to push myself into that. And I start thinking along those lines, how can I make myself less sane? How can I just break myself completely so that I don't have to worry about reality ever again? And that kind of thinking is appealing. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually, when I get away from the addictive behavior, when I get away from playing the game, instead, I'm like on my walk to the bar, I get so saddened and thinking so heavily on everything. And then that's similar to my shopping trip. Then on the walk home, after I've been dancing and I'm drunk as shit, the emotions just all come up. And it's funny because there's almost this exalted state of, when dancing, there's an exalted state that comes about of, I don't know, just pure pain. And this has always been the case, pure pain and energy flung out. But on the way home, it's a different kind of state, but almost a pure pain of a different kind. Where it's like I'm actually really in touch with it, and either at or actually crying, either just before the point of or actually crying, on almost the whole walk back. And both become just a blur. So there's a cathartic experience there. But I feel that by dampening it with the addiction, I'm enhancing it on those ways back, on that walk back, or on whatever time slice is outside the addiction. It feels like that pain is more enhanced, is sharper. Now, I don't necessarily, like, it's weird because why am I shying away from the pain through the addiction? Is that what I'm trying to do? Because if it is, it's not really working, right? You know, I mean, the pain's still there, and it comes even stronger if in between periods of addiction. But on the other hand, there's something in me that wants that pain, right? That wants to touch it, that wants that hurt. And the addiction is interfering with that, or maybe it's bringing it into sharper focus in the moments that I haven't. And I'm not sure which. Because in one case, the addiction's a terrible thing, but in the other, it might be a useful tool towards, again, you know, just blasting my mind out of existence, essentially, through the pain. Which, again, you know, just ending sounds so fucking good. But I don't have the capability to do it through any non-mystical means. And, you know, I hope that my health is going to take me out, but that seems like such an iffy thing. Such a fucking iffy thing. I don't know. Oh. Up it goes.